You've been lied to about bagels. That fresh baked label at your grocery store? Complete fiction. While you've been grabbing whatever's convenient on your morning coffee run, the bagel industry has been quietly replacing actual craftsmanship with chemistry labs and cost cutting. We're talking about brands that skip the most essential step in bagel making because it's too expensive, companies pumping their dough full of high fructose corn syrup, and grocery store bagels that taste more like science experiments than breakfast. So let's talk about the 8 bagel brands that range from absolute disasters to surprisingly decent options. Because life's too short to waste your money on circular disappointment, smash that subscribe button because we're about to save you from some seriously questionable bread products. Number 8, Aldi Löwen Fresh Bagels. Aldi's private label, Löwen Fresh Bagels, hit stores as part of the German discount chain's ultra-budget strategy. At around $2.50 for 6 bagels, they're the cheapest option on this list, and boy does it show. What you actually get is a dusty coated ring of dough with a crumbly texture that disintegrates the moment your toaster gets involved. Open one up and you'll find it's riddled with holes that make the bagel look mangled, like Swiss cheese had a panic attack. The texture is aggressively pillowy. Imagine biting into a sad, flavorless cloud that somehow also manages to be dry. And get this, they're not even pre-sliced. 260 calories and 470 milligrams of sodium. 20% of your daily intake for something that tastes like nothing. At 40 cents per bagel, you're paying to be disappointed in bulk. Reviewers consistently describe the experience as like biting into a pillow. Aldi survives on ruthless cost cutting, and these bagels are Exhibit A. They're banking on shoppers being so focused on saving $1 that they won't notice they're buying bread adjacent. Products that barely qualify as bagels. Bottom line, when the most interesting thing about your bagel is its dusty coating and the holes that appear when you toast it, you're paying 40 cents per bagel to actively make your morning worse. But if you think discount store disappointment is bad, wait until you see what happens when a premium brand phones it in. Number 7, Whole Foods. 365 Bagels, Whole Foods Oeuvre, 365 private label, launched in 1991 as the chain's budget-friendly option. For a brand built on premium quality, these bagels are a stunning betrayal. What makes this particularly frustrating is that you're still paying Whole Foods prices for motel-grade bagels. Small, hockey puck-sized bagels arrive squished and misshapen, with sizes varying wildly within the same bag. The taste is aggressively forgettable, described as reminiscent of the type of bagel sitting in a plastic case at a motel's free continental breakfast. Zero personality, zero flavor complexity, zero reason to exist. 230 calories and 350 milligrams of sodium, 15% of your daily intake. At $3.50 to $4 for 4 to 6 bagels, you're paying premium prices for bottom tier quality. Customer sentiment is brutal, wholly unremarkable. I'd pass this one up in favor of individual sized cereal and a banana. Whole Foods created the 365 line to compete on price with conventional stores, but sacrificed the quality standards that justify shopping there in the first place. Shoppers are paying more than regular grocery stores while getting worse bagels. It's the worst of both worlds. When your budget line makes people question why they shop at your premium store, you've lost the plot. At least Whole Foods isn't pretending to be healthy. Our next brand wraps its failures in organic whole grains and good intentions. Number 6, Dave's Killer Bread Bagels. Dave's Killer Bread launched in 2005 with a powerful mission: second chance employment for people with criminal records. Their bagels hit shelves marketed to health-conscious consumers willing to pay $6 to $7 for 4 to 5 bagels. The mission is admirable, but the execution reveals a fundamental misunderstanding of what makes a bagel. What you get is mealy wheat bread with an identity crisis. No bagel-like chew, no distinct pull, just a dinner roll cosplaying as a bagel. The texture is crumbly rather than chewy. One tester put it perfectly: if you gave us a piece and asked what kind of bread product it was, we would probably say dinner roll over bagel. At $6 to $7 for 4 to 5 bagels, you're paying over $1.50 per bagel for something that fails the basic definition test. The organic whole grains are great for sandwich bread, terrible for bagel structure. Dave's tried to extend their sandwich bread success into bagels without understanding that bagels require completely different techniques. They're selling the mission and ingredients, not actual bagels. When your greatest strength becomes your biggest weakness in a new product line, you need to go back to the drawing board. Great mission, wrong product category. When whole grain goodness destroys bagel structure, you've made expensive bread with an existential crisis. But a dinner roll with an identity crisis is nothing compared to the OG bagel brand that pioneered an industry, then ruined it. Number 5, Lender's Bagels. Lender's pioneered the prepackaged bagel in 1927 when Harry Lender started selling bagels to mainstream America. 98 years later, mass production has transformed these historical bagels into chemistry experiments that taste like nostalgia died and was reanimated by preservatives. Noticeably smaller at 57 grams versus 95 plus for competitors, these feel like bagel-flavored snacks. Texture is doughy and underbaked feeling, creating gummy resistance that makes your jaw work overtime for all the wrong reasons. The taste is bland and pillowy with a chemical aftertaste people remember from childhood, and not in a good way. 220 calories and 430 milligrams of sodium, 19% daily value. But then you see 13 grams of sugar, the highest on this list. High fructose corn syrup is the third ingredient, right after flour and water. The ingredient list reads like a chemistry textbook. HFCS, caramel coloring, calcium propionate, sorbic acid. Lender's survives entirely on nostalgia and brand recognition. The high fructose corn syrup, linked to hypertension, cognitive problems, and diabetes, is there because it's cheaper than real sugar and extends shelf life. They're banking on you being too nostalgic or too broke to care that you're eating preservatives held together by a bagel-shaped delivery system. When your third ingredient is high fructose corn syrup and your defining characteristic is tasting off, you're selling chemistry with a side of childhood betrayal. And if you thought chemistry lab bagels were bad, wait until you meet the brand that convinced America this is what bagels should taste like. If this is already saving you from a bad bagel, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's next. Number 4, Thomas's Bagels. Thomas's Bagels dominate grocery store real estate with floor-to-ceiling displays at Walmart and virtually every major chain. With the biggest shelf presence of any brand tested, they're America's default bagel choice. The problem is that ubiquity and quality have an inverse relationship. Large bagels that look promising until you bite in and realize there's no shatter on the crust, no satisfying crack, just bread after bread. The interior and exterior have a homogeneous, chewy texture that's somehow both rubbery and without proper resistance. Despite heavy seasoning on varieties like everything, the taste is surprisingly bland. 270 calories and 450 to 560 milligrams of sodium, 20 to 24% daily value. At $3.50 to $4 for 6 bagels, they're competitively priced but deliver disappointment at scale. Critical sentiment is harsh. Taste and texture similar to cardboard. Tastes like rubber. Thomas's succeeds on distribution muscle, not product quality. They're banking on convenience-focused shoppers who grab whatever's in front of them. What makes this infuriating is that their market dominance means millions of Americans think this is what bagels should taste like. They're actively lowering the national standard for what's acceptable. America's most popular mediocrity. When your biggest selling point is that you're everywhere and your biggest weakness is everything else, you're making bread with delusions of grandeur. Finally, we're climbing out of the basement. Our next brand actually tries, sort of. Number 3, Sara Lee Bagels. Sara Lee entered the packaged bagel game leveraging decades of frozen baked goods expertise. Available in both freezer and bread aisles, they position themselves as the fresher tasting middle option. At $3.50 to $4.50 per package, they're priced to match their middle of the road ambitions. The fluffiest and freshest feeling right out of the bag, which is genuinely impressive for a mass market brand. Interior is airy and fluffy with moderate chew and a light crisp on the edges when toasted. Actual textural contrast. Toppings are frugally sprinkled but somehow still manage to impart flavor. The main flaw is restraint. These would be significantly better with more generous seasoning. 260 to 290 calories, 370 milligrams sodium, 16% daily value. Customer sentiment leans positive. Felt the fluffiest and freshest right out of the bag. Critical consensus. Had the toppings been dished out more generously, may have taken the crown. Sara Lee is playing it safe, delivering just enough quality to justify the price without taking risks that might increase costs. What's frustrating is that they're so close to being genuinely good. The texture is there, the freshness is there, but they're holding back on flavor like they're afraid of commitment. The bagel that's afraid of commitment. When the biggest compliment is almost there and the biggest complaint is too sparse, you've created a product that plays it safe to the point of mediocrity. But timid quality pales in comparison to our next brand, which has a name recognition to be great but chooses not to be. And if you're finding this ranking useful, hit the like button. It really helps the channel cut through the noise. Number 2, Panera Bread Bagels, grocery store. Panera Bread extended their cafe empire into grocery stores, launching pre-packaged bagels that promise the Panera experience at home. Available at major chains for $4.99 to $5.99 per 6-pack, these carry the weight of Panera's cafe reputation. Here's where it gets tricky. The grocery version uses the same fundamental flaw as the cafe version. They're steamed, not boiled, but then adds the degradation of packaging and shelf time. Pre-sliced bagels with the shiny exterior and basic chewy texture that delivers when toasted, lightly sweetened with brown sugar, giving a mild flavor profile that lacks complexity. No high fructose corn syrup, no artificial sweeteners, genuinely cleaner ingredients. But here's the fundamental problem. These are steamed with steam injection ovens, not boiled, which creates an airier bread-like structure instead of dense bagel texture. 230 to 280 calories, 410 to 560 milligrams sodium, 18 to 24% daily value. At roughly 83 cents per bagel, they're mid-priced. Customer sentiment is mixed. If you buy a bag expecting the Panera Cafe experience, you'll be sadly mistaken. The steaming method, chosen because it's an easier option in Panera's kitchen, means even fresh cafe bagels aren't authentic. The grocery version compounds this by sitting on shelves, losing whatever freshness it had. The no-no list of artificial ingredients is good marketing, but it doesn't fix the process flaw that makes these bread-like instead of bagel-like. When you skip the most essential step in bagel making because it's too hard, then package the result for grocery shelves, you're selling compromised convenience with a premium name attached. Which brings us to the only grocery store bagel that actually does what bagels are supposed to do, and the Civil War it started. Number 1, Kirkland Signature Costco Bagels. Kirkland Signature bagels sold in Costco's bakery section are the most controversial bagels in America. Until 2021 or 2022, these were Einstein Brothers bagels co-branded under the Kirkland label, beloved by members and considered the gold standard. Then Costco switched to an unknown in-house supplier after Einstein merged with Panera, and the Costco community erupted in civil war. At $6.99 for 12 bagels, they're large, 4 ounces each, properly water-boiled and hand-formed. Real bagel technique at bulk store prices. Large bagels with proper water boiling before baking, creating the authentic shiny crust and chewy texture that most mass-market bagels skip. A slightly crisp outside, authentically chewy inside. This is what proper bagel texture feels like. The everything is a standout. Since the supplier changed, bagels are smaller, denser, and lack flavor compared to Einstein version. The recipe change betrayed longtime loyalists but created new fans who think these are great. 270 to 380 calories, 550 to 760 milligrams sodium, 24 to 33% of your daily value. That sodium number is alarming. The Civil War in reviews is real. Gold standard versus awful, especially cinnamon raisin. Post-change complaints, much denser, less flavorful, and just not good. Tastes like a plain bagel with raisins stuck on it. Positive reviews counter, proper bagel texture. Sets the standard. Costco switched suppliers likely to maximize profits, moving from proven quality to in-house production with more synthetic chemicals. The divisiveness comes from two camps, longtime members who remember Einstein quality versus newer members who think these are great because they're still using proper boiling technique unlike most competitors. The real kicker is the sodium. 33% of your daily intake in one bagel is cardiovascular Russian roulette. The bagel that sparked a civil war and won despite the controversy. When you're one of the few brands actually boiling your bagels like you're supposed to, you get loyalty even when you betray it with recipe changes. At 33% of your daily sodium, though, you're not just eating breakfast, you're gambling with your blood pressure. After testing all 8 brands, a clear pattern emerges. The difference between terrible and decent grocery store bagels comes down to one question. Did they skip the boiling step to save money? Aldi, Whole Foods, Dave's, Lenders, Thomas, Sara Lee, and even Panera all avoid the labor-intensive process of hand rolling and boiling that defines authentic bagels. Only Kirkland actually bores theirs, which is why despite the controversy and sodium bomb nutritional stats, they're still the best option on grocery store shelves. Here's what the bagel industry doesn't want you to know. Most grocery store bagels aren't real bagels. They're steamed or just baked bread with holes, sold to people who don't know what they're missing. Don't trust packaging that screams authentic when the ingredient list reads like a chemistry textbook. The best grocery store bagel is still a compromise, but at least know what you're compromising on. Hit subscribe if this changed how you'll buy bagels, and drop a comment telling us which ranking you think we got wrong.